What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Eclectic Beard. This go around, I'm going to take a look at the top 10 British conspiracy theories. And just wait a minute, because I know it's Watch Mojo, and I don't particularly care to take a look at Watch Mojo stuff, but this will give me a jumping off point for in the future for other videos to take a look at these conspiracy theories, because yes, I intend on doing so. Conspiracy theories fascinate me in and of themselves, right? Because they're normally something to do with either, a lot of times they're based in history or they're based in science. So those are two subjects that I love taking a reading about. I love taking a digging into. You take and throw stuff into the work, you throw a wrench into the works of either one of those with anything slightly credible. I'm even more interested to take and see, because I was taught in school question everything, and it seems like that's one of the things that's not taught in school anymore, is to question anything. Like, you're supposed to take what you're given at face value. It's just what it seems like to me, just because just climate of today's society. Not supposed to question anything anymore, it doesn't seem like. Everything is supposed to be, oh no, it's not how this works. So here we go. Top 10 British conspiracy theories.
And that may lead just how we know the Earth to be banana-shaped.
This new learning amazes me, Sir Bedivere. Explain again how sheep's bladders may be employed to prevent earthquakes.
Oh, certainly, sir.
Uncovered truths or a load of tosh? What do you believe? Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 British conspiracy theories. Before we begin, if you enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're ranking the strangest, most significant and most popular conspiracy theories, which are predominantly based on people, places, events and things in the UK.
The press claim that you claim to be the Son of God. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Yes, you see, the thing is that it's quite funny, really.
Number 10. Louis Tomlinson's fake baby. As part of one of the world's biggest boy bands, Louis Tomlinson is used to intense public scrutiny. However, when he became a dad in 2016, the hysteria hit another level. #Babygate erupted on social media, and followers tried to prove that Louis' son...
Okay, that's celebrity conspiracy theory. A lot of times, Avril Lavigne, she's dead. They're using a double. I've heard that type theory. But to take a question, somebody having a youngin and trying to disprove it and stuff like that. Come on now. There's some stuff that
wasn't real, with the validity of various photos examined and offered as evidence. The reason for the fake? Theories range from it giving Tomlinson an easy out from the group to it being an elaborate cover-up of his relationship with Harry Styles. Number 9. The disappearance of Richie Edwards.
I don't think any band is established. Most bands got a career of maybe 3 or 4 years, then they fade into oblivion.
As lyricist and guitarist for Manic Street Preachers and a frank and open speaker on depression and self-harm, Richie Edwards was already a cult icon when he disappeared in 1995. Investigators surmised that he'd committed suicide by jumping from the Severn Bridge, but his official status wasn't changed from missing person to presumed dead until 2008. And there have been plenty of supposed sightings, from India to the Canary.
Let's see, this sounds something like, with the Elvis and stuff like that. Oh, it was Elvis didn't die, he's in different places, it's crazy with celebrity deaths, how people take and actually try to do things or try to take and twist things to make them something that they're actually not, or to almost as a coping mechanism to take and deal with the loss of somebody, because it's not like people haven't faked their death in the past, but a lot of times those theories are just crazy.
Canary Islands, some fans still believe that Richie faked his death to escape his fame. Number 8. Chaucer was assassinated. Anyone who's wrestled with the Canterbury Tales at school might feel a smidge aggrieved with Chaucer, but some suggest the pioneering poet was actually the victim of a murder plot, and by the Archbishop of Canterbury no less.
Lovely.
The idea mostly comes from a book by Terry Jones, who's better known for Monty Python. True, Jones puts a comical spin on the concept, but there is very little known about Chaucer's death. His name just stops appearing in records. Ominous, mysterious, or fabricated, you decide.
So that would be kind of interesting to take a look into, or to try to find. But, you know, things that take and go that far back, a lot of times, like, either records are incomplete or they weren't completely kept. But the idea that, you know, he was part of a murder plot, you know, the subject of a murder plot, basically, you know, he was murdered. That's kind of an interesting take on something like that, just because his name stops appearing in records, because he is such a historical figure. So I mean, that's kind of an interesting one.
We walk in the garden of his turbulence.
Number 7, the Bisley Boy. To Tudor times and the Virgin Queen, or should that be King? It all starts with Bram Stoker, who included the Bisley Boy legend in his book Famous Impostors. So the story goes, Princess Elizabeth visited Bisley in the 1540s to escape the plague in London, but she died anyway. Her governess replaced Liz with a lad in a bid to escape the famous wrath of her father, Henry VIII.
I am no man's Elizabeth.
It worked and the arrangement stuck. Remember, she was famous for her wig collection, and there was no post-mortem when she died.
That's interesting. That's an interesting one as well. I might take a look into that little theory. That's highly interesting.
Number 6, Britain's Roswell.
Flying objects? It beggars belief.
Alien theories are typically an American expertise, but why shouldn't a UFO rock up in the UK?
Oh, I've taken, what was that? The ancient, not the Ancient Aliens, but the History Channel over here. There's one that deals with aliens. Got the guy with the crazy hair and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of the show for save my life. But yeah, there's an actual, and it looks like just a house, like just a house on the side of the road, but it's so heavily guarded, even though it was supposedly reverted back to the public. So interesting. Because Roswell, they're still, you know, Area 51 and aliens and everything like that.
Suffolk's Rendlesham Forest was front page news in December 1980 when it played host to a series of unexplained lights and noises. Multiple sightings were reported, with most coming from nearby RAF Woodbridge, which housed the US Air Force at the time.
My personal feeling is there was some type of a mothership or bigger entity or something.
From flashing signals to scorched trees, supposed landing spots and continuous light beams, it ticked every extraterrestrial box. But still, no little green men, unfortunately.
Don't be afraid.
Number 5.
And see, stuff like that, because the U.S., with the release of papers over here, documents that they can say, yeah, that they've seen unexplained, you know, flying objects and stuff like that, that's got advanced technologies and stuff. Like, that kind of stuff, it can't be discounted at this point. I find it interesting that, you know, that happened at a place where the U.S. Air Force was. Because a lot of that stuff is explained away by the military a lot of times as being, you know, covert operations or covert, you know, testing and stuff like that. So, lizard people. Oh, now that's an interesting theory that's not just, you know, British. Because it's postulated that all the elites, and, you know, most of the elites and stuff like that are a race of reptilian people. And there's videos, or I don't know if there still are, but there's been videos on YouTube of people, you know, that people have put out, like with the eyes closing and stuff like that, or the lens covering the eye before they blink and stuff. Crazy stuff.
The Kingdom of the Lizard People.
Shall I destroy him? No. Take him to the cages.
To a global conspiracy born in England and perhaps one of the world's wild.
So, okay, so that was born in England. So the reptilian, and that's the other thing, they're kind of like shapeshifters, basically. They're chameleons almost, pretty much. Like yeah. Crazy stuff.
Theories. David Icke was a BBC sports pundit before his career took a dramatic change of direction in the early 90s. Having appeared on Wogan and suggesting he was a descendant of God, Icke set about uncovering the truth of our existence, concluding that we are controlled by a race of shape-shifting illuminati reptilians. From
the Illuminati reptilians. And the Illuminati, like, that's another thing that you dig into that's quite interesting.
From the royal family to world leaders, bankers, broadcasters and celebrities, there's a select few pulling all the strings.
Yeah, the Rothschilds, there's all, yeah, just, that's a deep theory with the reptilian thing.
Number 4, Titanic never sank.
Iceberg, right ahead! Thank you.
More than 1,500 people perished on Titanic in 1912, but some say it never sank at all. Or at least that particular ship didn't. Publishing in 1998, shortly after James Cameron's blockbuster, Robin Gardiner proposes that the doomed vessel was really its sister ship, Olympic, which was subject to a massive insurance claim. As the ships were almost identical, the swap would have been easy. While another theory says that JP Morgan arranged the disaster to eliminate his rivals who were travelling on board, controversy continues to surround the story.
Wow, now that's one I've never heard, but that is immensely interesting. JP Morgan, that was a dastardly dude. Like, like his business practices and stuff like that to take out rivals and stuff. Like, there's... So, yeah.
Are you sure the ship will sink?
I can assure you the ship will sink as it has 1,000 times before. It is unsinkable.
Number 3, Shakespeare didn't write his plays.
Copy it, hand it round, learn it, speak it, back before curtain up. And remember, kid, project eyes and teeth. You never know. The Queen might turn up.
He's one of history's best known Britons, but could Shakespeare be a sham? Some say he couldn't possibly have penned his plays, with the likes of Mark Twain and Sigmund Freud suggesting that other writers probably responsible. Citing Shakespeare's modest background, discrepancies between his signatures and similarities with other poets, the naysayers believe that the bard was but a front.
Now see, I've heard this theory before, and it's an interesting theory because it actually makes sense in the context of things, but there have been prolific playwrights and stuff like that in the past, throughout history. But this one, the credence is leaded to this one, that's given to this one because of the signatures, but also just how prolific he was and how, it's, I'm not sure I actually believe this one, but this is one I do plan on taking and looking further into as well.
Christopher Marlowe or Francis Bacon are the most popular alternatives. To believe or not to believe, that is the question.
Oh, and just one more thing. Yeah. That is for every schoolboy and schoolgirl for the next 400 years.
Number 2, Paul is dead.
So this started some rumor that because he was barefooted, he's dead.
A hotbed for conspiracy theorists, some say the Fab Four never existed at all, that they were just a conveyor belt of trendy actors. But the best Beatles theory centres on Paul, who supposedly died in a car crash in 1966. Paul was then replaced with the winner of a lookalike contest to avoid the agony of fans. Subscribers to the legend say clues are hidden in lyrics and on album covers, or they're heard when certain Beatles tracks are played backwards. Perhaps it's time to let it be.
That's interesting. Never heard that theory. That's an interesting theory because that would really upset the apple cart on things. Because the Beatles, one of the most beloved groups of all time. I mean, even here in the U.S., they've influenced so many bands across multiple decades and generations. So, but then again, you got Sir Paul McCartney taking and still putting out music. It'd be hard for a lookalike to take and win something and then still be as prolific with songwriting. So
take a load off of your mind, take a load off your behind.
Number 1, the death of Princess Diana.
Diana, Princess of Wales, has in fact been killed in that car accident in Paris.
Diana's death shocked the world.
Now that I remember taking and we were on vacation, we were in the mountains of Tennessee, and the news come over the airwaves because I didn't realize the significance. I knew that she was well loved and stuff like that. I remember going, man, that's awful. That sucks. My mom she took it hard. She cried over it and everything like that. It just heartbreaking.
In August 1997, the cries of conspiracy were almost immediate. Accusations of murder were aimed at MI6 and parts of the royal family.
Now I haven't looked deep into them, but I have heard a lot of conspiracy surrounding her death and stuff like that. MI6 or the royal family, but like there's a lot of stuff. Just top layers I've looked at.
Questions raised over a lack of CCTV, an unusually slow journey to the hospital, and a white hatchback seemingly involved in the crash but never seen again. The owner of the car committed suicide 3 years later. The motive? Diana's supposed engagement to the Egyptian producer Dodi Fayed, according to Dodi's father, at least.
They cleared the decks, they finished her, they murder her, and now he is happy. He married his crocodile wife.
Do you agree with our picks?
Alright, so there we go. Top 10 British conspiracy theories. Now, there's a couple of them from this I'm definitely going to be taking a look at, just because I love digging into conspiracy theory, because some of them are so far-fetched that it's like reading science fiction, but there's some stuff that it's at least credible enough to make you take and question the official story on things. So there's definitely some stuff I will be taking a look at from this for future videos, just because I find all this kind of stuff supremely fascinating. Y'all be good to each other. Love yourselves. Peace.